Going to call the East Greenbush Central School District Board meeting to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, today we're going to have Ms. Steinbach and Mr. Mann out. Ms. Komersky will be in shortly. There's Ms. Komersky, right? Not to put it on blast, I'm sorry. So today we're going to start with our student council representatives, Cole Hardy and Natalie Crisanda.
Hi, it's just me tonight. Good evening, everyone. To start, on behalf of the Student Council, we would like to wish you all a very happy holidays. We hope you have a wonderful and restful break. Last meeting, we voted on dress-up days for this week's Spirit Week. We're halfway through, and we can't wait to see the turnout for the next 2 days. Today, we held our annual Pictures with Santa event featuring Mr. Harkin and Mr. Malloy dressed as Saint Nick, taking photos with students. It was a huge success, and we were thrilled to spread holiday spirit not only during the school day, but also after school. During our meeting today, we created holiday cards for all the teachers at Columbia to show our appreciation for their hard work and to wish them a wonderful holiday season. We also hosted a small holiday gathering today where members could bring snacks and help design and color the cards for faculty and staff. It was a fun and a heartwarming way to wrap up the season together. When we return from break, we'll kick off a winter gear drive to collect coats, hats, gloves, and other items for those in need. Our goal is to help as many people as possible stay warm this winter. Looking ahead, we're excited to plan more fundraisers and community-focused events to continue making a positive impact when we're back. Thank you all for your support, and once again, happy holidays.
Thank you. Okay, and next on the agenda is the approval of draft minutes. I'm wondering, is there an attachment on this? Yeah, I'm wondering, is this going out to the public or not? Okay. No, it's fine. Okay, and also for the public too, in case.
It's not showing it. Same as the last meeting. I don't know why.
All right. So last
Peter. You make sure that the names are changed to the last meeting for sure. I'm not sure it's like this screen. There's a little icon. It's not. Are you logged in?
So the thing is though, it should go out to the public as well, right? Like the meeting minutes. So if I log into the general site, it should go to everyone.
I think it is.
So either way. It's showing up there.
He doesn't have it either.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it.
All right. Thank you.
We'll make that correction. What we're discussing is the public version of the board docs agenda isn't showing the minutes from the last meeting that the board is about to approve. So some kind of a technical glitch, which we'll have to adjust between now and the next meeting. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. So last meeting, everyone was in attendance. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Buno, is there a second? Ms. Turner, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. Right, and we're going to open up this board forum. Before we make comments on a board forum, we're going to kick it to Mr. Buno to discuss the progress we've made for the superintendent search.
Yep, thanks, Jesse. So as you know, last board meeting, Questar Boces came to present, and the board did approve as the search consultant for the district, to help us for a new superintendent for next year with Mr. Simons retiring. So what we plan to do is I'll be kind of helping to organize that with the consultant, Questar BOCES, and to help provide updates. So as I said, the appointment to the consultants was last week. I've had a few meetings with the Questar BOCES team that does the search. And we have put together a process where the community can provide input on the characteristics that we're looking for in a new superintendent as part of our outreach to candidates for the position. And that survey will go to students, it will go to staff, it will go to the community at large and parents through different forums. And we hope to get that out tomorrow, have that out to the community for about 3 weeks. And that will inform the board about what the, like I said, the characteristics we're looking for, any questions you might want to ask in terms of the interview process for the board to ask the candidates, and then to just see where your thoughts are in terms of a new superintendent. So it's a brief survey. It'll be out, like I said, hopefully tomorrow via the website and mobile. And we encourage the community to give us feedback. We hope to have that done, like I said, in 3 weeks. At the January 22nd meeting, we anticipate that the Questar 3 BOCES superintendent search team will be there to present in public the findings. And that will, like I said, inform us more about the characteristics that we're looking for the brochure, for any posting and advertising, and we get the process going with the anticipated start of a new superintendent in July. So that's kind of where we are, and I'll give those updates on a regular basis.
Thank you, Mr. Buono.
All right, you're welcome.
Is there any questions or comments from the board on that, or let's kick off the board forum, starting with my left, Ms. Van Norton.
I just wanted to say in the past couple of weeks, I've had a chance to attend the Goff 7th and 8th grade orchestra and chorus concert, and last night the second holiday concert at the high school. And I just wanted to congratulate our musicians and their faculty because both shows were exceptional. And I'm always impressed with how talented our student musicians are.
Awesome. Thank you. Ms. Komarski.
Just great to be here at Janae. I know this is a wonderful time. I see a lot of younger folks behind the screen ready to get going, a lot of parents in the audience and a lot of students as well. So thank you for the welcome, and Mr. Bergenot and the staff. Looking forward to a nice presentation from the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I'll second Mr. Buono's comments. It is great to be here at Janae. And you know, I do wish everyone a wonderful holiday season, whether you celebrate or don't celebrate. I hope it's filled with joy, family, and all of the peace, you know, all of the great things, right, that can be had in a human experience. Ms. Turner.
Just that it's great to be here at Janae. This was a second home for me for a very long time. So it's always good to be here. And just want to wish all of our families a happy holiday and a very hopefully relaxing break.
Thank you.
I enjoy being at Janae as well. It's always good to, see the school and the families and of course the students. And just to echo what Mr. Buono was saying, I really encourage everyone in the community to please participate in the survey. It's very valuable to get your feedback about what qualities you're looking for in our next superintendent. It'll certainly help guide our search.
All right, Ms. Phillips. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm gonna take a break before public forum so that we can kick off for the presentation. Mr. Grignon.
All right, good evening, everybody. For those who don't know, I'm Wayne Grignon, principal here at Janae Elementary School. Welcome to all the families and the fifth graders that of our fifth grade parents here. That's the cue for my fifth graders behind. Don't pay no attention behind the curtain for the fifth graders to get up. To begin our evening, I went to Mrs. Scalera, our music teacher, to ask her to come up with a presentation where we could showcase some of the music that we do here at Janae, which, as many of the board members that have been here know, that we do a wonderful job here, as we do in all of our elementary schools. And the song that she actually selected was wonderful because it ties into our presentation as to what we're going to showcase to the Board of Education today. And the song is "Over There Is My Future." So I would like you to sit back and enjoy. And Mrs. Scalero, you can hit it. We're going to reveal the students in a moment and pull back the curtain so you can see everybody here. Thank you, Mrs. Scalero. And the fifth graders, you can make your way to the auditorium where there's a special treat waiting for you right now. So as the fifth graders are leaving, welcome to the Board of Education to Jenay Elementary School. Whenever we have an opportunity to kind of pick a board meeting, I always strive to do December because I feel like December is a great time for us to come together as a school community, to celebrate all the great things that our school district does for our students, to showcase some of the wonderful work. It's very hard to pull that off in September, but in December, as we're getting ready for our, go ahead, you can wave at them, everybody. But as we are in September, it's hard for us to pull this off, but you can see how much growth they make from September to now. And then the board is always welcome to come to our concerts. Our concerts are going to be in January this year at the elementary level. So we're very fortunate to have such a wonderful and strong music program within the district. So to the parents, you may go and meet your children down in the cafeteria as well, unless you would like to stay for the presentation. The students don't know this, but they are being surprised with crumble cookie. So it's down there waiting for them as a special treat because all of those students volunteer to come back tonight to sing to the Board of Education. So we're very fortunate for that. I'd like to welcome up to me two members of our E&L team here at Janae Elementary School. And the focus of our program ties into that song directly about the future, because this presentation that we're going to discuss with you tonight is future driven. It ties directly into the goals of the Board of Education. It also ties into one of the projects that Mr. Simons brought forward, which is the Committee for Global Education, ties directly into that as well. And we are very fortunate at Janae because we have been the E&L school at the elementary for many years. While we're growing it into Red Mill, each year we go up a grade level, which is wonderful. It's nice to have that culture where we celebrate our cultural diversity and acceptance for everybody, because it's also embedded in our character ed program at the elementary level and also at the middle school, and something that I know the high school also cherishes. So as we go through this, I'm very excited if you would like to turn your direction or your attention up there to this, because we're excited to introduce the Elementary Bilingual Achievement Award program that was actually the brainchild of both Miss Aldinger and Mrs. Caraher, and it comes directly out of our summer curriculum writing opportunity for our teachers, which is, I've worked in some districts. It's unheard of to have such an allotment of money set aside to further develop our curriculum in a way that is meaningful for children. So that's really a feather in our cap for our school district. And I met with these two wonderful teachers here, leading up to them making the proposal to the community, to the Committee on Curriculum Study, and to the Office of Mr. Stiles. And we did some revisions, and I would say that I think that we're very proud of the product that has come. And you're going to hear some things that are going to be very special, because this program is the only one of its kind that we're piloting right now here at Janae. We do have aspirations of hopefully seeing this grow into all the elementary schools and also go to the middle school as well. And we actually had a presenter come as one of our public speaking events that we do with the program. And Dr. Chaffee, who was here to speak, who used to be the director of world languages, I believe at Shenandoah, and also as part of the E&L Roundtable in the communities, she had said that we are the only elementary school that she's aware of that is doing something like this to link it to the seal by literacy, which the high school students can earn and achieve. So we're hoping that this will be the groundwork that will basically the grass work that will make it turn into something larger, and that other neighboring school districts will take from us. And the best part about education is you take, you improve, and then you share, and you make everything better for everybody. So I think one of the things I want to highlight before we turn over is that, you know, by fostering an early appreciation of multilingualism with our students, the award supports the district's commitment to cultural awareness and to global education. The initiative reflects our dedication to preparing students for success in an increasingly interconnected world, which is really important.
Thank you, Mr. Grignon. Thank you to the board members for allowing us to be here. Thank you to the superintendent. Thank you to our families. Those of you who are here virtually, and as well, thank you to our students. My name is Jennifer Caraher, and as Mr. Grignon mentioned, as one of the ways to integrate students into every aspect of this program, you'll see there on the screen our winning submission for the logo contest. We ran a school-wide logo contest where students were asked to design a logo that represents the spirit of bilingual achievement. And as you can see, the winning design symbolizes our commitment to celebrating language, cultural diversity, and global understanding. And the artist, Zoe Charlotte Cueles Fortunado, was actually one of the singers who was here earlier up on the stage, a fifth grader. So it's wonderful to see our students getting involved in so many aspects of everything here at Janae.
Too far away.
Okay. Is this on still? Okay. All right. So the inspiration for this program stemmed from our mutual value and appreciation for multilingualism, which is reflected here in this quote. And it's our desire to see this mentality continue to spread across the district as a way to honor that diversity of our community. So as English as a new language teachers, Mrs. Caraher and myself have the joy and opportunity to every day witness students from diverse backgrounds blossom as they acquire proficiency in another language. And we are eager to invite more of our students from our community to do the same. So on the left, you see here a list of all the languages other than English spoken in homes in our district. This list here reflects languages spoken by all of our families, not solely those that are designated as English language learners. So we think it's important to celebrate the culture and languages of our students and their families, and creating this program was one way, a natural way to do that.
On the right, you'll see mention of the program's inception. The journey to the Elementary Bilingual Achievement Award began when some of the members of our ENL team attended the think tank on global education at Harvard University. In turn, this inspired the creation of the district-wide committee to promote global education and initiatives like World Wednesdays. And I know that I've seen some of the board members at our committee to promote global education virtual meetings, and we always appreciate your support. So thank you on that. And while World Wednesdays were happening, the ENL team was also actively participating in the Capital District ENL Roundtable. Here, districts share strategies, and in this case, for implementing the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. And as most of you know, East Greenbush established its own task force and was granted the opportunity to offer students the chance to earn the seal. And for those of you who may not know, the New York State Seal of Biliteracy is a designation that students may earn and be awarded upon high school graduation. They would exhibit proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills in a second language other than English. The New York State Seal of Biliteracy was designed to encourage the study of languages and to prepare students with 21st century skills, along with affirming the value of diversity in a multilingual society. And some of you may also be familiar with the Seal of Civic Readiness, which is a designation for social studies. So the Seal of Biliteracy is the additional world language component to that. Building on this momentum, Ms. Aldinger and I very proudly developed the Elementary Bilingual Achievement Award during summer curriculum writing. And the goal was to foster an appreciation of language learning. Having been a part of the original implementation task force, I'm even more excited to be playing a role in bringing this opportunity to our younger students and to encourage them to maintain their home languages or add a language to their repertoire in addition to English.
The Elementary Bilingual Achievement Program has built a pathway for all of our youngest students to demonstrate their developing bilingualism. And as Mr. Grignon mentioned, it is the first of its kind in New York State. No other district offers a program like this at the elementary level yet that we are aware of. So this program is meant for all students. So anyone interested in developing proficiency in a language other than English is welcome to participate, not only those who are already designated as English language learners. In fact, as you will see, many of our participants are native English speakers who were very eager to start learning a new language. The program encourages students to pursue the New York State Seal of Biliteracy, as Mrs. Caraher mentioned. And most importantly, our program affirms our students' identities and fosters a more inclusive environment here at East Greenbush Central Schools that honors our community's growing diversity.
So what does the program actually do here for East Greenbush? So just a few quick bullet items that I would just like to highlight. So in the Every Student Succeeds Act, the accountability measures highlights how the district educational programming is reaching specific student demographics. This program also supports the East Greenbush Board of Education goals, as well as the Committee to Promote Global Education goals as well. Ultimately, this program supports the growing diversity of our students here in East Greenbush. The Elementary Bilingual Achievement Program supports East Greenbush Central School District's mission statement, specifically of working in partnership with families and communities with the intent of to set up all students for success for future endeavors, which ties into the wonderful song that was picked by Mrs. Scalero, not knowing our presentation at the time, ties in perfectly as to, you know, they can see their future over there, and This is just one additional thing that they can earn and work towards that will get them ready for Goff Middle School, Columbia High School, getting that additional, whether it's the seal of civic readiness or the seal of bioliteracy. It will make them more marketable to colleges or to the trades because they would have that background and experience that can make them more marketable as a contributor to society.
And actually, it comes as no surprise to me that Mrs. Scalera would pick such a fabulous song, because really here at Janae, we are constantly, no matter what we're doing, we are celebrating our diversity, our multiculturalism, the fact that we are able to hug so many different students from around the district into this school here at Janae. So it doesn't surprise me that she picked that song. As you'll see, the three main goals of the Elementary Bilingual Achievement Program are to foster communication skills, cultivate lifelong learning, and build global citizenship. As our world continues to change at a rapid pace, we owe it to our diverse student population to provide them with this opportunity, one that facilitates their college and career readiness and prepares them for life far beyond East Greenbush Central Schools. By celebrating language learning, we empower students to embrace their unique identities and contribute meaningfully to a multicultural society. And as far as raising awareness, we have done a bunch of different things to try to raise awareness for the Elementary Bilingual Achievement Program in the form of presentations at faculty meetings, newsletters. We had events set up at both Janae open houses. Additionally, we hosted a separate event at the East Greenbush Public Library. To further engage the community, we organized a speaker series highlighting the importance of language and literacy. And through these efforts, we're hoping to ensure the program is visible and celebrated across the school community. And I would like to extend an invitation to each of you. I believe it's January 15th. I'm sorry, January 22nd is our next speaker series. And it would be great to see some or all of our board members and families at that event. I think you'll be very happy to hear some of the things we're talking about. I believe it starts at 6:30. Is it 6 o'clock? Yeah, and I'll be sure to get that information to you for sure. Thank you.
So as Mr. Grignon mentioned, this program is being piloted here at Janae, and we're thrilled to share that 27 of our students here opted to participate in this program this year, and they are choosing to study Spanish, French, Italian, Chinese, and Telugu. They have already begun work on their choice boards, which Mr. Grignon will talk about in a little bit, using many of the free resources for language learning offered by the East Greenbush Community Library. And these choice boards are differentiated by grade level with tasks related to speaking, listening, reading, and writing, which allows students to build upon their skills from year to year.
So I would like to ask the Board of Education Central Office to take a look at the handout that was provided to you. The handout outlines just kind of like the components of what this program entails. From, the program website, which we do have, to informational series, things that Ms. Aldinger and Mrs. Carraher have planned for the entire school year. We also had a student participation survey. We're also going to do one at the end so that we can learn and gather feedback to see how things went and how we can improve. It also goes out to parents. I think the very important thing here for all of us to understand is it's just not the L families that are participating. It's non-L families, but it's not just the student, it's the family doing it together as a project, which is really crucial because a third grader or a first grader trying to do this can only do so much without parental support. So it's getting buy-in from the families as well. So if you happen to come to January 22nd's meeting, the entire family shows up. Everybody's here, and then there's conversations. We have speakers that present that we did at the first one. It's a really enriching opportunity, and you can see the excitement not only in the students, but also the parents. Like I had many parents at the first one tell me, I've been looking for a reason to study Italian, and this is now giving it to me, and we can do it as a family, which is very nice. It gets that buy-in, so that way the kids see their parents get excited, and they're excited about it as well. On the next page, you will see something that's called a choice board. So for students, to get that achievement award on their diploma when they would I use the word diploma, graduation certificate from Janae, they have to do a series of tasks. And each task is tailored to the specific, should be developmentally appropriate to a child at their grade level. So what we're asking a first grader to do is not the same as what we may ask a fifth grader to do, because they would be able to do much more. So in there, you will see examples of some assignments that children at third grade may be able to select and choose from. And it's a whole, I would use the term smorgasbord. There's many different choices for them as a family to choose. We have selected two that have, at the time of us completing this, some students we didn't know if we were going to have it. Some students actually started to submit some work, which was exciting. So we have two clips to show you that are about a minute to a minute and a half in duration. The first one here is, I'm sorry. I'm going to turn it over to Miss I get very excited. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Aldinger.
This is actually a student of mine, so I'm super proud to share. So in this video, you'll see fourth grader Zoe Martinez demonstrate her speaking proficiency in Spanish by explaining a process, which was one of the options on the choice board, specifically how to make a sandwich. So you see at the top, that's an explanation of the tasks function, which we provide to families for an understanding of why we're asking them to do that. And then directions for students, adult helpers to help facilitate the task. And we use the term adult helpers rather than parents because a lot of kids are doing it with broader community members, whether that's, their grandparent or aunt or uncle or, somebody that they know from the community who can help them with this project.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Zoe Martínez. Hoy les voy a enseñar el proceso cómo hacer un sándwich. Les voy a enseñar los ingredientes que necesitaremos. Tomate rojo, cebolla, jamón, queso blanco o amarillo, 2 rebanadas de pan, lechuga y mayonesa. Primero untamos la mayonesa en las 2 rebanadas de pan. Ya que tenemos mayonesa en las 2 rebanadas de pan, ponemos el jamón. Después procedemos a poner una rebanada de queso. Los siguientes serán los vegetales. Ponemos el tomate en la rebanada de pan. Y luego ponemos la cebolla, donde está arriba del tomate ponemos. Y ponemos la lechuga en el sándwich. Por último, ponemos la otra rebanada de pan. Y eso es todo. Muchas gracias por ver mi video. Adiós.
Thank you, Zoe, for that. I think we all got a kick out of that. And the thing that's really neat about the program is, Zoe, who is a native Spanish speaker, this gives her an opportunity to share her Spanish and to show what she can do. I know it gives Zoe's parents an opportunity to say, come on, Zoe, let's speak Spanish, or maybe let's read in Spanish, let's write in Spanish. It's giving our students an opportunity and a reason to continue developing in whatever language it is, if it's something they've been speaking at home or a new language they'd like to conquer. So the next slide is a great example of another fourth grader. In this video, our fourth grader, Reagan Harling, demonstrates her developing speaking proficiency. So again, she's just learning Spanish, and she does it by singing a song. And I'm so proud of Reagan for this song she's going to perform for you right now.
Cabeza, hombros, rodillas, pies, rodillas, pies. Cabeza, hombros, rodillas, pies, rodillas, pies. Ajo, orejas, boca y nariz. Cabeza, hombros, rodillas, pies, hombros, rodillas. Cabeza, hombros, rodillas, pies, rodillas, pies. Cabeza, hombros, rodillas, pies, rodillas, pies. Ojos, orejas, boca y nariz. Cabeza, hombros, rodillas, pies, rodillas, pies.
All right. So if you didn't know, that was the Macarena she was doing. No. But so just a final point to summarize. In summary, we are very proud of this new groundbreaking program, and that will lead the way for this innovative elementary bilingual achievement program here at East Greenbush. This will not only support multilingualism development in our students, but also prepare them for the indispensable 21st century skills on their journey towards, hopefully, bilingualism. I also would like to take a moment and, thank both Ms. Aldinger and Mrs. Kara for their exceptional work, because they have put in many hours during the summer, which was part of the curriculum writing project, but also have put in many hours beyond that. That was not part of that, because this is something that is in their field of expertise and that they believe strongly in. And to be honest with you, when they came to me, I was very supportive of it, but I was also like, how are we going to pull this off? Like, this is like, there's not a framework for us to do. So we are kind of paving the way for others to hopefully jump on the bandwagon and then engage in that wonderful conversation that we can do in education to build upon things, make it better, tweak it, and then continually get into that cycle of just innovation, which is really important for us. And I'm not just saying because they're here and they work at Janae, but they are extremely passionate. So is our third member of the L team, Mrs. Murphy. She's extremely passionate about her. All of our L teachers in the district are. And I do want to thank, the Committee on Curriculum Study and Mr. Stiles for his support of this, because, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing of its kind. It will be very interesting to see how it continues to grow at the end of the school year. How many students will stay with it to see it to completion will be very nice to understand. One of the things that the three of us have talked about is retention. If we have a kindergarten or 3, how do we get them to continue next year into first grade and to hopefully increase the numbers of participation? Because we have, over 480 kids at this building that I think that this might really, hit a lot of them. This may be something they may be interested in. So how can we capture more students to grow this? For those board members that sit on the Committee of Curriculum Study, there will be an opportunity for them to showcase everything next school year, or maybe give a summation at the end of this year as how things are going to that committee, so you can hear. But we would be happy to provide anything to Mr. Stiles' office or Mr. Simons and give you updates as we close out the school year. So, and I would like to just make one more thing. The 5th graders here, I'm so proud of them, because that was the kindergarten class that got closed out of kindergarten in COVID. Not only that, but they are my first kindergarten class when I moved down here at Janae. So it makes me emotional that I'm going to have to say goodbye to them, in June. But, they've done a tremendous job. All the adversities that all of our students overcame, but kindergarten being cut short, starting out first grade, and no one wants to talk about the COVID word. But, that's a testament of the people that work here in East Greenbush, the support of central office, the support of the Board of Education, and also the support of the teachers doing a great job to get them to this point. That way they will be successful and continue to build upon everything that's been provided for them. So we're happy to take any questions from the Board of Education if you have any. And then at the end, Mr. Simons, if board would like, I do have refreshments for the Board of Education. It's pie season, so I have some holiday pies if you would like pies. You're more welcome to help yourself, or we can save that to a later point. So any questions from the board?
So applause. I mean, this is an amazing opportunity. You are leading the way, and we thank you for all your amazing to have these kids get that opportunity, especially at a younger age where you want to capture that. So my question might be a little bit for you guys more. Have you ever thought of allowing people to do more than one language as they get older in high school? Because, this is going to pick up an opportunity there. They may already be pretty well advanced into a language by the time they get to high school. Mm-hmm. Have we ever had an opportunity to have them do more than one foreign language?
If they're permitted to do it, there's nothing preventing them from doing it. It's just a matter of fitting it into their schedule. I would have to go back and look and see if any students have ever completed more than one language, but it's not anything that we prohibit. It maybe it's just an issue of trying to fit it into their schedule.
I'm just hoping that maybe we'll have that more opportunity as these.
And I think, if I may, Mr. Simons and Mr. Stiles, you know, 8th grade and then 9th grade when they do the checkpoint A and checkpoint B exam, or the B or the A and B exams. Sometimes we have had students in the past, when they've made that checkpoint exam and they've gotten their world language credit, they may go and try a different language at that same time. So they do have that opportunity at Columbia High School to do that, knowing that they would have to go down to, you know, basically level 1 to start the beginning intro if they wanted to do German or something, you know, along those lines.
Amazing. Thank you.
And if I may add to that as well, our hope, you know, we're piloting it here at Janae this year. Our hope next year is to be able to roll this program out to all of the elementary schools, and then as well to roll out a similar program at the middle school level to maintain the momentum, so that just what you're saying is a possibility that students can really foster and follow their passion for language learning. Thank you.
I want to add also, I really love the program. I really love the idea. You know, I think sometimes it's easy to talk about equity and diversity. I think seeing it live, you know, impacting our education as an example, you know, of how to approach it is excellent. And I really love how you taken, you know, E&L learners and helping to reinforce, you know, some of their experiences that they're experiencing at home, and add that to the education. I'm kind of embracing that experience. And I want to thank Mr. Simons and Mr. Stiles. I want to thank Mr. Grignon, Ms. Kara Naldinger. I really appreciate, you know, all of the work and helping make this happen for sure.
When you do the celebration ceremony on here and your award, please be sure to invite.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't really have any questions, but I'm just very impressed by the program. I'm glad to see there's so many different students of K through 5 participating this year. And I'm just, you know, anxious to see how it grows and is sustained. So great job.
Thank you.
And I have just a last minute extension to the Board of Education. If there's nothing better to do Friday, as you know, elementary is very excited about the holiday recess coming up. Here at Janae, we're doing our holiday sing-along, as 2 of the board members very well know. It's open to the community. You're more welcome to come in, don your gay apparel, and come on in and sing songs with us as a school community. And we are very inclusive of what songs we pick. And we make sure that they're winter songs, but we also do celebrate the different religions and sing one of each of them. So if you'd like to participate, that'll happen around 9:30 on Friday. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, let's take a brief break and be back. All right, we're going to resume the Board of Education meeting. We're going to skip to the social studies program review and then go back to public forum afterwards, so our educators could get out. That's not to take up all your night, for sure. Yes, for sure. Yeah.
I guess everybody left. Hi, everybody. I'm Wendy McAloney. I'm the Social Studies 612 Department Chair, and these are my colleagues, Chris Labarge, Elementary Content Coordinator, and Carol Karowitz, GOF 668 Content Coordinator. First, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to present our Social Studies Program Review. I've been in this district working at Columbia for, I was like, had to sit and do the math. I know I'm not a math teacher, but I've been here for 26 years. And I've been department chair since 2005. So I'm actually almost going into my 20th year as department chair. And I'm telling you this because this is not my first program review, clearly. But this one was unique. The reason why this one was so unique was this last 5 years were really unprecedented. These last 5 years, we experienced the COVID pandemic. We experienced Regents exams canceled. Then we came back, tried to get back to normal, and then the U.S. History Regents exam got canceled again. So I think it's really important for us to just remember that as we're talking about these last 5 years. It's not really the same as any other program review I've ever been part of. I got a clicker here. See, that's why I brought tech assistants. Hi, everybody. I'm not used to having my back to the audience to that like that, because as a teacher, I never would do that. So I feel like I have to. Oh, I almost had it. Great. So thank you. I'm going to start with our mission statement, which we did revise. I'm not going to read you the mission statement. I'm just going to point out some keywords. The first part of the mission statement is similar to past mission statements: student-centered, inclusive, critical thinkers, and active global citizens. These are things that have been included in our mission statements for the last 20 years. But this last sentence of our mission statement is new. Our department is committed to cultivating democratic values and civic responsibility by encouraging active participation in local, and I emphasize local here, and global communities. I think that sentence right there really defines the changes over the last 5 years and the change in the new social studies framework, as well as changes in the United States and the world. We have gone to great efforts in the social studies department to live up to this mission statement in our classrooms, but also each of us as teachers serving as models for the students that we actually live these mission statements and are part of these mission statements. So we are very proud of our accomplishments. I need my reading glasses, I'm not sure. We are very proud of our accomplishments for K-12. And I feel that we are definitely living up to the mission what the mission statement says at all of our levels. And the video that you're about to watch highlights the dedication and hard work of our entire faculty and our students in social studies over the last 5 years. I'm going to play the video.
Welcome to the glorious land of Massachusetts. With over 6 million acres of significant land, we have space to roam free. With all the geography we have to offer, you can live life to the fullest. These geographical features include beachy coasts in the summer, vibrant fields in the spring, snowy trees in the winter, and colorful forests in autumn.
I can't believe we're still finding jobs. No, right? Are you two interested in jobs? Yes. Would you like to farm livestock, or perhaps like to cut down trees? Maybe even own a shop of your own, or send resources back to England. Fair enough.
I've been in Massachusetts for a year now. I'm the town's preacher. Every Sunday, I contribute to my community by teaching about our Lord.
Since living in Massachusetts for a few months, I have my own shop where I supply tobacco. In Massachusetts, we have so many resources. I can never be more happy. After many months in Massachusetts, I own a thriving business where I supply honey from Margot Collins Sci-Fi Communities. I have continued my journey as a happy Puritan, and I am so grateful I still live in Massachusetts. After hard work, I now have a successful livestock and crop farm. I also have farm stand at a local shop on my house.
In Massachusetts, we choose you.
I didn't want to leave it to the out, so 9 minutes.
This really fits.
Contribute to your families, communities, nations, and world. We hope Rho Kappa will help you explore rich fields within social
Rho Kappa
as well as your own passion.
ceremony.
You may extinguish between your candle.
Here we had over
However, we feel quite certain the flame of your creativity and potential will not be so easily put out. Congratulations, you are now officially done.
be very techy. As you can see that I hope it was okay that I presented it in this fashion instead of just explaining and telling, but a picture's worth 1,000 words. And to be honest, what I really want to emphasize is that in social studies, we're not just preparing kids for Regents exams. We're doing a whole lot more than that. And I hope that came across from the video. Chris is going to start with the needs assessment for elementary.
All right, so I'm going to start by highlighting some of the strengths of social studies instruction at the elementary level. Since our last program review, the curriculums at that time were identified as something that needed to be more strongly mapped out. Now they are all mapped according to the New York State social studies standards and are available on a digital format. So when teachers come in, when they switch grades or they come into the school district, they're able to access the materials, be able to follow along the curriculum and kind of stay with all of the buildings, all the different elementary schools are all linked together in that sense. Since our last review, we've introduced a new resource that is provided by the Putnam Northwestchester BOCES. It's on their website, and it is a constantly evolving social studies curriculum that is specifically designed for New York State. So there are teachers in that area that provide input, and it gives us lots of resources, lots of guidelines in order to teach social studies at the K-5 level. And in addition, social studies at the elementary level, a lot of it is combined with literacy instruction. And so grades 3 through 5 trade books have been purchased that align with the social studies standards to allow us to kind of meld those two subjects together so that we can provide a good literacy background in addition to providing them some context with the social studies instruction. Some of the weaknesses that we identified to work on for the next several years is the curriculum maps that we have created do have an inconsistent amount of materials at each grade level and in each topic area. So we kind of need to just kind of fatten them up a little bit, fill them out. And some of the resources just need to be updated. The links have been broken or they're outdated. There are certain tools that have been sunsetted that we need to revamp those things. Teachers in K2 are not consistently using or have access to this trade books. It's not consistent across all the buildings. So something we need to look into is making sure that we have access at all the different buildings to a specific set of trade books so that the students, teachers can tie the literacy instruction and the social studies instruction together. And one weakness of the PNW BOCES website is that a lot of their instructional material rely on educational videos that are on a specific site, the Discovery Education videos. Now, that being noted, this year, they've started to update and are providing this or that kind of format. So they have a video that is available on YouTube for public access, or for those school districts that don't have a subscription to the Discovery Education videos. But it would be something I'd like to look into, see if it's viable for our school district.
Okay, I'm going to share some of our needs assessment points from the middle school. And at Goff, it's our first opportunity to introduce the students to social studies as an independent core area subject. And we really try to show them just how fantastic and fun social studies is. And I think that really is one of the strengths of our department. We have new digital textbooks in 6th grade, which I think have really helped capture the students. They've been really well received. They replaced textbooks that were over 20 years old and have interactive maps and help with educating kids in world history. We have many field trips that emphasize that social studies is fun and interactive and part of our everyday life. Boston, you saw some photos of these field trips. DC, FDR's Presidential Library. We've had many guest speakers, including Rensselaer County historian, to help students learn about their local history at the 8th grade level, and school-wide events. Specifically on Friday, our History Bee, which is making a return. I know Mr. Grignon invited you to sing songs with the elementary school, which sounds very cute. But if you'd like an intellectual challenge, you can join us at Goff for our History Bee at 1 o'clock on Friday. Also, we have a lot of good collaboration between the teachers at Goff. We work 6, 7, 8 together, plan vertically, horizontally, and I think that's an asset to our middle school social studies education. For weaknesses, high school Regents exams have changed quite a bit. And we are looking at, changing our instruction to better support the skills that are needed to be successful on these new high school Regents exams. So continued and meaningful professional development will help with that. Also, professional development in the realm of AI and how to use it to our advantage rather than letting it overtake instruction. Also, our 7th and 8th grade textbooks are aging, but we haven't really found great replacements yet for those. So that's one of the things that we're looking to do in the next few years in our next round of program review. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to thank Carol and Chris because I could not have done this without them. It was my fear that they were going to get sick tonight and I was going to have to be by myself or like if something was going to happen. At Columbia High School, we have shown we've had consistently strong Regents exams. And I think I provided some documentation showing you the Regents results over the last 5 years when exams were offered. Again, there were some years exams were not offered, but the social studies department at the high school on Regents exams, our students have consistently scored higher than students across New York State. And that is our goal. And they've scored higher in proficiency and mastery. I did not provide AP exam results, but we've also consistently been higher than the national average on AP exams. In social studies. But what I really think what I'm most proud of is all the civic-minded opportunities and activities. Again, you saw them, and some of them are part of classes, but some of them are not part of classes. They're extracurricular activities. 5 years ago, I suggested we start Rho Kappa, which is a National Honor Society for Social Studies. I applied for a charter, and we received it. And since then, Rho Kappa has helped organize so many events. They've taken over the multicultural fair. They organize everything from, they go to the elementary schools and to Goff and work with students. They also have organized the Thanksgiving scavenger hunt around Columbia. Right now, we do something every month. It's a big activity. Right now, we have a history holiday tree in the outside the library where students make historical ornaments and we have a competition. We do something every year for Black History Month. We do a door decorating contest for Women's History Month. And of course, the multicultural fair, which is really was just something that started a few years ago and it's become sort of part of my life. I don't know how else to say it. And every year people say to me, are we going to do it again? Are kids going to be interested in it again? And every year I say, I don't know, but I'm going to do it again. And every year it's 90 to 100 kids participating. And kids actually will come back and see me and say, this was my favorite thing I did in high school. And I think it's interesting. We have kids who are in it every year. And they're doing different projects, making different foods. And like the last presentation that you saw, it also brings families in. And I think it's really important. Last year, I presented to you the Seal of Civic Readiness, and we, of course, had 36 students receive it. And I don't know how many we'll have yet this year. Applications are due by March 1st. But I think we'll have probably even more than that. We continue to have AP courses and electives that are extremely popular. I'm going to talk about why that can be a weakness in just a minute. Lastly, I'd like to say that when we came back after COVID to school, there was such a gap in learning. We began to identify sophomores who did not have IEPs, did not have any disabilities, but were struggling in 9th grade. The teachers gave me a list of the kids, and with the help of guidance and Mr. Harkin, we were able to put those kids in a class together where I actually teach it, and where I just go a little slower, give them a little more support, and some one-on-one attention. And I have to be honest that I don't think many of those kids would have passed Regents exam if we didn't identify them. And now that things are back to normal, we've actually continued the class. We've continued the class. I've talked to parents of students in the class. I've talked to students in the class, and they are so happy that somebody's taken the time to recognize that they need some support and help. Weaknesses? Well, being a popular department can be a weakness. Our courses are full. Our electives are full. We're cutting kids out of our electives. We're cutting kids out of psychology. We're cutting kids out of criminology. I hear all this talk when I go to meetings about offering new electives. And from my perspective, I don't know why in social studies we would offer new electives when our electives are so popular. But we can't staff any more electives in social studies, and that is a problem. The second weakness that I planned on talking about, I actually just found out is not a weakness anymore. Last year, 9th grade primary instruction was eliminated in social studies. This year, 10th grade primary instruction was eliminated in social studies. So these students who usually would be in a curriculum equivalent class, we're now put in a class, an inclusion class, where we have 30 students and we have many special ed kids in the class. Teachers found it overwhelming. Special ed teachers found it overwhelming because they were working with these kids who really needed more attention and they couldn't give special ed support to the other kids. I did talk to the director of special education about this last year, and the head of special ed, the department chair for special ed, and I've discussed this many times. We've been keeping track of these kids, watching their grades. I just found out last week that it's going to be reinstated as a course at Columbia, primary instruction. So we're very happy about that. But this year, 2024-25 school year, has been very tough in social studies. Our classes are full, and there is an increasing percentage of students who need services in the classes, special education services and ELL services. And it's just very hard for the teachers to manage all of that and teach and give all the opportunities we want to give and help kids pass the Regents exam. So that is what I would say is what we see as a weakness at this point. Can I answer any questions about Columbia, or my colleagues answer any questions about Goff and elementary?
I'll just say that we have asked, Mr. Stiles and I have asked Mr. Harkin during the budget process to put that in the budget request. Don't know that I would guarantee it. The board has a lot of factors to look at, but we have identified some of the things in your program review that we would like Mr. Harkin to bring forward for review as part of the budget cycle.
We are very pleased to hear that. And we are very pleased to hear that. And like I said, when you're at meetings and you hear we should be looking at new electives and things like that, just remember what that would mean.
The challenge becomes every department comes and, identifies their needs, and we have to just put them on a list and we try to look at it and try to balance everything. But your points are well taken.
Yeah, thank you.
In the 7th and 8th grade books, I'm assuming we would approve something like that.
Yeah, they haven't found what that they like yet.
It's really hard to find. Yeah, their textbooks are not like there used to be. We also have gone to digital textbooks, and teachers end up using the resources that are provided and not the actual book. It's just a different time. It's changed a lot in 26 years. I can tell you that. My first program review, it was all on paper, and I was just handing out, showing people what page numbers to look at. There was no screen or anything.
And I do appreciate the video. I think it really gets us engaged.
Oh, good.
It's a little bit of a memory walk back for, folks here. So thank you.
Were any of your kids in it? I wasn't sure if anybody's kids were in it.
I thought somebody in it.
Jesse was in it.
I thought so.
I got a quick question. Talking about the IEP and the impact on social studies, I'm not sure that I fully understand how when children with the IEP specifically impacts a specific program. So I'm just wondering if you could expand a little bit on.
Sure.
Yes.
So I'll give you a scenario. I don't have exact numbers in front of me, but so in a typical social studies class, you would have 30 students. If in that class you have 14 or 15 of them who have IEPs, who get things like extended time, who get things like extra time for homework or test months and things like that, what it does is it's hard to accommodate that many kids in a classroom when you have half of the kids who don't get any of those things. Does that make sense?
So it's like standardizing a process is
Yes,
what the
that's
challenge
exactly what
is.
it's like.
Okay.
That's
okay.
exactly what it's like. Now, if you have 4 kids, you might be able to pull them out with the special ed teacher, might be able to pull them out. But pulling out half the class is near impossible.
Okay. And what a typical class like for social studies, like I heard you throw out the number 30. I'm just curious, is that like, I'm just wondering about the number and how impactful the total number is.
Social studies is a core class that's required every single year.
Yes.
So in our typical 9th, 10th, and 10th grade classes, class size is typically between 27 and 30,
Okay.
typically.
Thank you.
And you might get one class that's smaller, and then you have 3 that are larger. It's all about scheduling. Is there anything else we can answer? Well, hopefully I'll see everybody in 5 years. Right? I'm sure I'll be back before then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to reverse course a bit and go to our public forum. Residents, students, employees, and business representatives of the East Greenbush Central School District may address the board on matters concerning programs and/or operations of the district other than matters involving personnel. Members of the board do not directly respond to citizen concerns during the public forum. If a response is appropriate, either the president or superintendent will contact the individual in the near future. Those persons wishing to address the board will be recognized by the chair of the meeting and should state for the record their name and address or affiliation with the district or business. While the board does not wish to infringe upon free speech protections, it must be stressed that the visitors forum is not deemed to be an open forum. The board president will conduct the forum for the orderly and efficient operation of board business. In addition, any remarks which may be considered defamatory or stigmatizing are prohibited and will be declared out of order. All comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. Any public comment? Dr. McQueen?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Wanda McQueen. I'm the transportation administrator. Very quickly, I'd like to say that the Santa and his helpers delivered candy canes to the students this week. Santa visited our 5 elementary schools and special classes at both Goff and CHS. The transportation staff wanted to thank the schools for hosting Santa again this year, and I was asked to give a very special thank you to our Red Mill principal, Helen Skolashi. Sorry, I'm very bad with that name. She not only joined them at the door, dressed as the Grinch, she personally escorted them to each and every classroom while pulling a very large boombox, blasting holiday music throughout the school building. It certainly made the event more festive for the students, but also Santa and his helpers. This event is a transportation tradition. Many of you know it was before me. Probably we will carry on after me. And we really appreciate the school staff, the administrators for allowing us to bring Santa to them again this year.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's great.
I'm a teacher. It also feels weird. Good evening. I will be brief. I know that I am a teacher, so I'm sure you're all tired as well. For years, many of us have cheered on our outstanding sports teams here at East Greenbush. We watch the growth within the players, the teamwork, and the many advantages from the opportunity of being a part of our East Greenbush athletic program. I know all of us are coaches as well. Our school district has been without a 9th grade boys modified soccer team for several years. I'm losing my voice, so sorry. This past season, our district had many athletes interested in trying out for multiple levels of soccer teams. We're very lucky to have a great, rich program. Due to the lack of teams available and so many kids that are so interested, Many lost the opportunity to continue their years in soccer when cuts were unfortunately had to be made at the boys' modified JV and varsity teams. I believe this also affected the girls as well. As parents of current 8th graders, 2 of which we have brought to you tonight, and ourselves as educators, we know how our athletic programs are critical to our youth for a plethora of reasons. Sports programs help children by promoting physical and mental wellness, focus, positive socialization, and teamwork skill development. The physical activity piece, we're in an epidemic of obesity, we know that. A time as well when we are seeing a very big rise in mental health crises. These kids really need these programs more than ever. Currently, we have 11 teams that we found outside of this district that do have those freshman teams. Many of those we already play against at the modified level, JV and varsity as well. We've spoken with many golf parents, many rec teams, the travel teams that we sit on, and so many were interested and they said, oh my gosh, I wish they could continue. We want to keep them focused. That's not limited to the boys as well. That's the girls teams. So with great interest, we did form a petition. The boys have several copies, maybe not enough for everybody, but a little light reading for you. But we are requesting that as you begin to develop your budget, please consider adding those freshman teams. I'm a teacher. I can tell you sports keep kids focused. They keep kids in line. I could go at length about how important they are. So thank you, especially for my hoarse voice right now, for your time. We really appreciate you even considering it. We know that our kids might not make that team, but we want them to have the opportunity. So any questions?
For the record, could you just state your name? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. It's Shannon Kerr, Kerr. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave this with you. Thank you.
You can do a freshman, you can do nine. So just in light of the public comment, the board was made aware by Mr. Jones of the interest in a Mod 9 or freshman program for next year. And Mr. Jones has presented some cost information, and we're planning on bringing that through a review as part of the budget process.
Is Mod 9 the same as freshman, or is there?
There's a difference between the two, and I couldn't tell you that, but I know Mr. Jones it has to do with the acceleration of 8th graders, the athletic placement process. And it also depends on
Is that the Tanner score?
the mix of, yes, the mix of the kids that you have, how many kids you have coming out at every level, varsity, JV, freshman, and modified, and how many kids are coming up through the program as to what the best option would be. But we can have Mr. Jones come at a future meeting and present the difference.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the Capital Project Steering Committee, Phase 1A timeline. Mr. Simons.
So our capital project steering committee met, I think it was last week, and that committee includes myself, Jennifer Mulligan, our Director of Business and Finance, Mr. Bickle, our Director of Facilities, Mike Buno from the board, Mark Mann from the board, Mr. Temple from the board, as well as our architects and our construction management firm, Turner. The committee received a review of the completion of Phase 1A plans, which included the approval of the State Education Department, and we're now in the phase of preparing to go out to bid. As a reminder, Phase 1A includes the replacement of the Columbia High School roof, the replacement of the tennis courts and the basketball courts at Columbia High School, and is expected to begin construction in the spring of this year, be completed by the following fall, with the exception of the roof that will occur over 2 summer cycles. The committee received a timeline, which I presented here, which would include, we're currently preparing and reviewing the specifications that we will go out to bid with, including the form of the contract, which is bound by our attorney's review, State Education Department requirements, as well as some standardized formats. The the district expects to ask the board to award the bids on February 12th. Mr. Buono attended the meeting. There were also some highlights of the meeting that we shared in terms of some of the design. I'll let Mr. Buono, if he wants to talk about some of the work that the committee got to see, including the work at Goff Middle School, which is not part of our Phase 1A, but part of Phase 1B.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Mr. Simon. It was really good to see how far they've come in terms of the project timeline, but also the design concepts around the golf entrance and the fields behind it and the changes that they've made, and the proposal for the design looks really, really sharp. I think that very pleased about the progress that's being made. Looking at the timelines and the positivity around the table, representatives from Turner, Labella, internal folks really presented a good plan, and I think that I'm really excited to see the progress we're making even this stage of 1A, and looking at 1B and its updates, and just just want to commend the team for all the work they do to keep us on track and to make sure that this project, which is really important to the district, continues to have the momentum that it does. So, yeah, good.
The thing I would add is that James from Turner Construction is set up shop at the high school now, and their Turner is already at the high school working out of an office of the library.
Yeah.
James Thomas.
Yeah, we also addressed a lot of safety concerns related to the projects, especially at Columbia, making sure that there's appropriate levels of fencing, protection, especially when there's going to be students. It's going to be during the parts of the school year. So I think it was really important to hear about those safety components to protect the kids and make sure kids stay out of trouble.
So everything is either on schedule or ahead of schedule regarding the project.
And there was the DPS classroom edition kind of concepts that were discussed and looked really good, especially when they were talking about the little folks pre-K possibility of a playground, which I think I'd like to see kind of come to fruition.
Excellent. It was good.
Thanks. Okay, and I think that puts us at discussion items for Donald P. Sutherland water heater issues, potential emergency. Mr. Simons?
Yes, unrelated to the reasons that we had to dismiss students early at Donald P. Sutherland, which was a water main break. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, Mr. Bickle has reported to us that the water heater system at Donald P. Sutherland is failing. Earlier in the summer, coming into the school year, one of the heaters was not working properly and functioning properly. Now the other one is indicating signs that it's going to go. This was not an element of scope in the capital project that we approved because the lifespan of this particular unit was identified in our building condition survey as having another 15 years. For whatever reason, perhaps the design of it, the brand of it, potentially some of the way it has been functioning, it's going to go at any moment. So Jennifer has gotten involved to review and work with the architects on what type of replacement it would involve. We haven't spec'd that out yet, nor costed it out. And we're looking at options that could include submitting a separate project and asking for SED to review it as a potential emergency project. There's two different types that may not meet the standard for that. We're not sure yet. Either way, we believe it's an approvable project of SED. It will just come down to how to fund it and whether the aid will flow next year, all of the aid, or whether it will flow over a 15-year period. And we haven't made those determinations yet. We expect at the next board meeting to have more information on that. Jen and Paul are both here. Jen, I don't know if you want to comment, or Mr. Bickle want to come up and talk about it.
Who does all of our mechanical maintenance and stuff like that.
Unfortunately, they took it apart, and this is for the domestic hot water. So this is the actual water that you wash your hands with, not the actual heating system in the building. So one of the units had already failed, and then just within the last couple weeks, the second one started showing signs of failing. Believe it or not, they were just installed in the 2016 project, so they're only 8 years old, both of them. So again, as Mr. Simon says, it was not something that was ever expected. In the BCS, our last architect had put down at least that they had at least another 15 years in them. So very unfortunate. Again, not sure what is leading to this, but they are just past the warranty period, of course, like everything. So we're going to, because we have oil heat out there, it's a little more tricky on the type of system that you have to work with. So we're going to try to go to a different system, more of like a boiler with standalone tank rather than an all-in-one unit in this future design. So Labella has already had their engineer out there last Friday to look over it, and they are coming up with plans right now as far as how to redesign the system and what type of units we're going to put into it. So once we have that, we'll be able to pass that along to Turner to come up with a approximate estimate of total cost. We don't want to speculate at this point right now, but should have that hopefully by the next meeting, as Mr. Simon said, and we'll have to go from there just to see how things work with funding and different things like that. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I got two questions. So we have to find out what's going on because we put a system in, we don't know what's happening, right, Paul? So short term, what are we gonna do if the other one fails? And number two, you got to give us some kind of rough number. What's the rough number? I mean, I know you're not gonna have some estimates next meeting, but what are we looking at? Like, what did these things cost originally in 2016? And what could it potentially be now?
I think we came up with a rough number of around $200,000 to replace the whole system.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that.
Nope.
but, that's just a ballpark figure.
Good ballpark. Okay.
And I'm sorry, what was your other question?
What's short term if that other one fails?
So
backup plans.
We're going to hope that it makes it to the point to where we get it, but according to SED's laws, you only have to have running water in the school. You don't have to have hot water in the school. Of course, we want to have hot water in the school. It's needed for the kitchen, obviously. So there's a lot of different things that we need. So there really isn't a short-term solution. I can talk with Turner and Labella and see if it, say it goes off tomorrow, if we had some way to put a temporary system in, but I'm not sure. The back wing at DPS actually never had hot water till this project, I found out. So that was just added. It always had cold water in the back wing. So I guess they did without it for a while. So,
Yeah, and we had a problem in Green Meadow too. We didn't have hot water for a long time when my son started there. And we definitely want to have a backup plan. It's just, it's just not right to think that little kids are going to be washing their hands in freezing water. And we think they're going to watch, they're not going to watch. So we definitely want to make sure we move this along fairly quickly
and that's why we have two for redundancy, but you never expect them to fail so closely together. That's really the unfortunate part.
But Mr. Bickle, quick question. Is there any way to purchase a system that would lower the operating burden on the district? I'm always interested just to know if there are options out there that could just save us money by purchasing or installing a certain type of system that have operational impacts.
Yeah, again, with oil, you're limited a little bit. If it was natural gas, there's a lot more efficient systems that are available. But we are going to look for the most efficient system to change over to. And again, that'll be up to Labella really, what they come up with. Their
Okay.
Design and what's available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Assuming all equipment is available, what would be the timeline from like approval to new system installed?
It has to be an SED project. It has to be
Because the
submitted to
number?
the state ed department. But typically, these types of projects
Emergency
are
project?
turned over a little bit quicker than, for
Just a
example, the
boiler.
phases of our capital project. You know,
Yeah, that's my understanding. I don't know the exact timeline, but I know some of this design work, like some of the SED stuff could potentially start prior to the next board meeting. But what would happen at the next board meeting, there'd be a couple of resolutions. There'd have to be a seeker, declaration. There'd also have to be an emergency declaration to also avoid, being able to procure the items without going through competitive bidding, because obviously the timeline would warrant that. If the board assesses that it is an emergency, we'd be able to go purchase those items without going through, in a more extensive, bidding process.
we
So
did a similar process with the fuel tanks that were replaced at the transportation center a few years ago. I think it might have been 4 years ago now.
Yeah, I was in the middle of
That was an
quoting
emergency
up.
project. It
I was
moved
in the
on pretty
middle of
quickly.
quoting up replacing the one. And we were going to set it up so that when the other one went down the road, we could just plug and play into the new system. And I did get a quote from Train just to replace one for $120,000. So that would be New York State contract. But again, that would have been 2 tanks and 1 boiler. So now we're going to be 2 tanks and 2 boilers. So guessing, the price to be in that 200,000 range. But then there's other things that go on top of it with architectural and design fees. And stuff like that.
It's just,
Sorry, with the vacation coming up, is there any risk like that, we have it and then we come back on January 2nd and we don't have, it's not working, is that? I don't know if that's normal, to say, there might be more risk or not. Nobody uses it.
I think a lot. The reason I think it failed right now is because they weren't in use over the summer, but they were probably getting ready to go over the summer because all of our cleaning stuff is done with cold water. So, they're not really used much. And then when they get fired back up and condensation, different things get in them, that's when they get the pinholes and things start to go. So it's just kind of an anomaly for them to both go so close together.
I'm also wondering about the flow of information that's going to come from Labella on this project. I'm just wondering, what is that process going to look like? And I'm also just wondering about, is there any type of amounts that's associated with how much energy these items output and how that translates? What I'm wondering is it even meaningful to think about energy efficient water heaters and what does the operational expense of operating one look like?
Yeah, I mean, their engineers are definitely suited to be able to come up with that. That's why we chose Labella. They have a lot of in-house ability. So I'm sure if we ask them to do a study to see, what kind of power or what kind of energy the system would use compared to, say, an alternate system, it would give us some ideas on which way we wanted to go. So we could definitely present that to them and see, what the most cost-effective running option is for the system over time.
Thank you, Mr. Pickle.
Yeah.
Just one other question. I don't know if you can answer this. It sounds like the students could be without hot water, but can you actually have food service continue without hot water? And is there a contingency plan for that we should be thinking about?
When schools have gone down in the past without hot water for short periods of time, a lot of food items were transferred from Goff Middle School to there. So most of it's a little more work, obviously, but Goff being the hub where everything comes out of, they just kind of made more of the items there and brought them out to the school. So That's what we would probably have to do if it fails.
So we'll have more details and more information at the next board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank
Yeah, no
you.
problem.
Okay, next on the list is approval of programs, is regular business approval of programs for resident children with disabilities. Is there any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Komersky, a second. Ms. O'Brien, all in favor? Everyone's all in favor. Motion passes. All right, our next item is appointment of interim director of PPS. Is there any questions or comments?
We did interview for a permanently appointed candidate today. We haven't completed that process yet, but this recommendation is being made because Kara Harrington, our assistant director, is absorbing the responsibilities of the director in addition to her other duties. We did, through Mr. Stiles' interview, an interim candidate who was a retiree who couldn't fully commit to a full week. And because of the short timeline between now and hopefully having a candidate to fill the position, we think that this is a better option because Kara is very familiar with our students, our families, and our personnel. And so the difference that we would be paying her is equivalent to what we would be paying the per diem to the outside person. So, Mr. Mahar has reported that the day went very well today.
Any questions or comments on this item? Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Buno, is there a second? Ms. Phillips, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. Next item is acceptance of request for proposal communication equipment. Is there any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Van Orten, is there a second? Ms. Turner, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. Moving on to pilot agreement with CP is.
Yeah, I'm going to turn this over. I can generally explain it, but I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer, who has more details and working on this. So,
Yes.
Ms.
thank
Mulligan.
you. Thank you. There's a section of real property tax law that allows for local municipalities to directly negotiate pilot agreements, which is the payment in lieu of taxes, directly with either the town, the county, and the school district. This is the only pilots that potential local municipalities can negotiate outside of the IDA. Usually the IDA has control over negotiating those pilots. So there's been some solar developments there's been some solar projects developing within our district boundaries, and the solar companies are required to provide us with notification of a project occurring, which allows us to respond and provide notice that we're interested in negotiating a pilot agreement with them. So this is a result of a negotiation of a pilot agreement for a property, 82 Moore Road, which is off of Luther Road, set back a little bit for a project. Typically, these pilots have been negotiated based on per megawatt charge. So this particular project is about just under 5 megawatts. So the total pilot payment would be $6,000, but that's we only have rights to our proportion of the tax share, and that's basically you look at the tax rates of the 3 taxing jurisdictions, and our share is about 62.5% of those tax rates. So our pilot payment would be about $18,000 a year over a 15-year period.
Thank you.
And Jennifer was able to negotiate more favorable terms than what the initial starter was, and I appreciate that. These are
So just-
opportunities to bring more revenues into the school district.
So just subtracting, we would get 312, but we would pay taxes of are we paying 18?
So
times
we aren't
15?
paying any taxes. This is actually would be tax revenue coming into the district. So instead of them receiving a traditional tax bill, right now the property is some vacant land and does have it's a taxable status. It's only bringing in about $2,000 based on that assessed value. So now there's a project that's being built on those properties. So their tax status is changing and we're looking to negotiate a pilot agreement. And that would bring about $18,000 a year into the district as pilot tax revenue. Which over the course of the 15 years would be about $312,000. So we're not paying any taxes. It's tax revenues coming into the district.
Okay.
So instead of a homeowner like paying their regular tax bill, businesses have the ability to get, an exemption and have a separate negotiated pilot agreement. Traditionally, the pilot agreements, in other businesses, it may be incentives for job creation or some other related economic incentive in the community, but these solar projects are coming under a different section of real property tax law.
Specific exemption to incentivize the development of solar, but also includes a provision in the law that they have to notify us and ask us to respond if we want to pilot. In both the town, the district, and the county responded that we wanted a pilot.
Did you say, Jen, it's a 15-year pilot?
Yes, they're 15-year pilots.
And then the anticipation is that they'll come back on the tax roll at that point? Or would they be
Yes,
the pilot?
possibly
or-
depending on, the status of
Okay.
that particular project.
Okay.
Right, because aren't the solar
Long
panels
time.
like good for X amount of time and then we're done?
Yeah.
Yes,
They
that's
move or
basically, I wonder
something?
if the life of it would continue or it would have to be redeveloped or not. I'm not definitely an expert.
Yeah,
in
neither
solar.
am I,
I would need to do
So they
some
might
additional
not be
research
there
on that aspect.
15 years.
15 years. Yeah, good chunk of time.
I'm just curious, like, because 4.8 megawatts sound like a huge amount of energy. Like it sounds like almost nuclear power plant size-ish. Like, I'm wondering, so $6,000 to me sounds like for such a huge facility. And I know right now we're getting zero on it. I'm just wondering, typically, a development, do we have an idea of a development of that size, of that parcel of land, what we would be getting if it was fully taxed versus what we're getting through this pilot?
I don't have an exact answer on that.
Okay.
Basically, the real property tax law would provide an exemption. So if they provided notice to us and we hadn't respond, then we're basically waiving our right to negotiate a pilot and there wouldn't be any revenues to the district.
Okay. So you're saying basically we either getting revenue or we're not, because
Right.
it's under real, okay.
And at the
Yeah,
same time,
yeah.
it's also
Yes.
through a pilot agreement, it does incentivize if they were fully taxable, they'd likely move to a different community.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
Yeah,
there
for
is
sure.
some, just in terms of renewable energy, that's partial what that exemption is providing, but then it also provides the opportunity to negotiate at least a certain amount of revenues
Okay.
to come in.
Thank you, Ms. Mulligan. Is there a motion to approve this resolution? Mr. Buno, is there a second? Ms. Turner, all in favor? Everyone's in favor, motion passes. Next on the agenda is a resolution to opt out of exemption under section 487 of the real property tax law. I'm guessing, Ms. Mulligan, this is yours also?
Yes, so it's very related to the pilot agreement. So as I was talking about, the solar companies are required to provide us with notification. That's a requirement under the section of real property tax law. There's an automatic exemption to these properties. If the district failed to provide any notice back, we wouldn't have an opportunity to negotiate the pilot. This basically is telling, putting on the books that the district is making a decision to opt out of that exemption, which automatically the solar companies have to come to us and negotiate a pilot. So it eliminates, any issues with mail, possibly, going by the wayside or, something of that nature. Provides us an opportunity for every project that comes in to the district boundaries.
Jennifer, and the exemption that we are approving is filed with the state.
Yes,
So they will have that on file that
yes.
as it comes
They
to
would
East
have that on
Greenbush, within the area of East Greenbush School District. They always have to negotiate a pilot.
Yes, so that would be a
Perpetuity.
piece of, when they're going to do a project that they would have to make sure they research and
do their appropriate due diligence as to what action they need to take to the local jurisdictions.
Excellent.
So pilot agreements have always been a bone of contention for me in terms of the inability of the district to participate in the process and just get told that. So I think this is a good move for the district to participate and not be the receiver of an agreement versus being a participant in the agreement. So I wholeheartedly support this resolution.
Yes, and there is some instances where there is a little bit of
Emphasis added.
coordination, between the taxing jurisdictions
course.
To discuss, but and there's a couple of pilots that are in the works that we may need to work with, the county as well on a little differently than just doing it on our own. So
sounds good.
So, this is fairly new. So this particular pilot agreement is first, in the area. It's the first agreement that has gone through the town of East Greenbush and Rensselaer County. So we're all learning this together.
Oh, good. Good. Good job.
Is there a motion to approve this resolution? Ms. Van Orten, is there a second? Ms. O'Brien, all in favor? Everyone's in favor, motion passes. Moving on to committee reports, Mr. Simons on cell phones.
Yes, I was very pleased to be able to join some of the members of our cell phone study committee on a visitation last week to Troy High School, and I wasn't able to go to the Bethlehem visit, but the rest of the team went. The board members on the committee weren't able to come, and I appreciate you continuing to serve on the committee. So I did put out to the board some of the notes that were taken. Mr. Wagner was there. I was very impressed by the way the Troy High School students and the staff, including the administration and security monitors, were managing the process of students entering in through the single point of entry, showing their cell phones, and having the assistance of the staff in securing the cell phones in their Yonder bags. Yonder bags enable the students simply to carry the cell phones on their person all day long. They don't work during the day. They're unable to access them. And then there are certain, there's equipment, devices, magnetic locks and unlocks around the building that are placed back out at dismissal time, where the students are able to unlock them once the students are dismissed. We also had an opportunity to go into a classroom, I think it was a sociology class, and talk with the students. They happen to be doing a lesson on the impact of technology. Spoke with the students. The general sense on the students' part was, while it was challenging at first, they have seen many benefits, including spending more time in study halls, cafeteria, socializing and developing friendships with kids, and even that is carried on outside the school, where they are connecting with kids more frequently outside of the school. The staff, including the administration, indicated that it was a matter of getting the kids into the habit of doing this every day, and it was challenging at first, but we saw no issues of disruption, or we saw nothing but cooperation. I did not go to the Bethlehem visit. Mr. Wagner, if you don't mind, you want to come up and speak to the Bethlehem visit? As he's walking forward, we do anticipate that the state is going to come out with something through the governor's office regarding requirements for cell phones in schools at some point this year.
Yeah, I think in the near future, right?
That's what we're hearing.
Bethlehem, we actually got to go to a panel, and they had the principal there, a couple of students, but the students echoed what Mr. Simons was saying, that it's translating outside of school. They've been doing this for a year and 4 months now. David Rounds, who's a social studies teacher, and he's the union president there. And the principal really stressed that, to have a union president was actually against the cell phone ban at first. He was really against it, felt that they were micromanaging the kids. And now he says he would never go back. He says that the culture change, the dynamic shift is just unbelievable. The noise in the hallways, that doesn't bother him, that people are actually talking to each other. They're looking up, their heads aren't down all the time. They use the sleeve method that we heard some kids, some of the teachers in East Greenbush do that. And some kids have fake cell phones and put in there so they could still get on their phone, but they would rush to start class, text their friend and do something really fast. And then then go put their phone in there, right? But they still had to be like addicted to that technology. And they said that they're making new friends that they wouldn't have made before because they would just be texting their friends even during study halls in other periods and not branching out and meeting new people. And the fact that Nate, who went with us to Costa Rica, he challenged, like, what's your screen time? How much screen time? And she said it's 2.5 hours, and that was cut in half. She was at 7 hours a day of screen time. Now it's down to 2.5 hours. And that, like they said, it's helping them realize that they can disconnect, and that even the kids in our committee, I saw in the hallways, I was like, so what do you think? And like, we probably should do this. So I was very impressed by Bethlehem.
I know that Gilbert has been featured on the news recently. They've had some panel discussions in the community about distraction-free education. And again, this is something that for the public, we're studying this, we're reviewing it. We have a committee hoping to be able by the end of the school year to bring a recommendation from the committee to the board. But what we've seen so far in the school visits has been very, very, very positive. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Mr. Simons, did they mention, because I thought this came up at one of the committee meetings, in terms of incidents related to social media, incidents of fights in the hallway and stuff being reduced? Did Mr. Harkin mention that Troy
Yes,
was
the Troy
affected?
principal and I spoke about that at the meeting, at the visit, and he
Mhm.
said the number of conflicts has just dramatically dropped.
That's what I thought I remembered.
Dramatically. He used the word transformational in terms of discipline.
Okay.
In the school.
Even Troy Police said the same thing
Wow.
from the notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's impressive.
So what do we think the governor is going to say? Do we have any indication?
What I think, what might happen may be two different things, but what I have been told at, through the legislative committee of the Council of School Superintendents from someone at the state level is that there'll be a general requirement that every school district have a policy that prohibits cell phones from being out during the school day. And that the method of managing it would be up to the local school district.
Yeah.
But from the start time to the end time, that the students are not to have them, not to be using them. The only other thing I would add is regarding the concern in the event that there was an emergency, that parents sometimes say, I would like my child to have a cell phone. The procedures at Troy, similar to what we would do, is, there's a procedure to make sure kids have the ability to go to the office, to use a phone in the office. And in some cases, if they have their Yonder bag on there and they've requested of an administrator or a counselor to call their parent, they, demagnetize the lock or whatever that is to open up the bag, and they allow them to do it, and they seal it back, and the kids go back to class. So that process has been managed very, very well. Okay. Thank you. More to come on that.
Okay, there are no tabled motions. Is there any old business? Mr. Buno?
Yeah, Jesse, I just want to let the board know that myself, Mr. Harkin, Mr. Simons, and Kimberly, no
I
audio.
listened.
Listening, talked about student on the school board,
Oh,
ex officio member, and that process is being developed. Through some ideas, we had the recently on the board article came out. You may see that from Monday, I think it was, right? It came out. Just moving through that process and what we need to do as a district to get ideas about adding a student board member and then a backup. And Mr. Simons has created a Google Doc that we're going to share, get some ideas, put some things down, capture our notes, and continue that work to get that process going to. And I think someone suggested that making sure that there's at least two, one and an alternate. Samantha. I mean, that's probably a good idea because of commitments. But I think that process is ongoing, and we have some good ideas. Mr. Harkin's going to flush those out for us. And then myself and hopefully another board member would be open to meeting with interested parties, students at some point. I threw that out there, so I volunteered many of you to come.
If it's in the evening, I'm in.
Keep you posted though, all right? Just want me to clear that we're moving forward with that process.
Thank you. Is there any questions on item on the consent agenda?
We have the addendum with that too, Jesse?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, any questions on any of the items of the consent agenda, including the addendum? Is there a motion to approve those items together? Ms. Turner, is there a second? Ms. Kamirsky, all in favor? Everyone's in favor, motion passes. Is there any new business? Okay, going around to our last public forum. Last board forum, starting on my right, Ms. Phillips.
I just want to say, every time we hear teachers come and speak to us, it's so inspiring. I mean, that was a great presentation by both groups. It's just really amazing to see the energy that they bring to their profession and to our students in the district.
Thank you. Ms. O'Brien,
I'm good.
Ms. Turner.
I'm good.
All right.
No, very good. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you
As
for
always.
hosting.
Absolutely.
And I want to echo the same thing. And, you know, just on a personal note, my daughter finished her first year away and she came, her first semester away, and she came back and she did pretty well. And I said, you know, what really triggered it? And she said, my education at Columbia was amazing. They really gear you and prepare you for college. So that says a lot to everybody out there. It means everything in the world for the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well said.
Ms. Vandermeer.
I shared with Mr. Wagner, I don't know if my daughter would want me saying this, but in her freshman year, I don't even remember what the period of history was or what the incident in history was, but my daughter was the only one in the class at Nazareth University that knew of this history event. And the professor said, they taught you that in high school? And this, so just to reinforce what you're saying is that the Columbia High School does a great job. All the teachers do a great job of preparing the kids for college. I have the same sentiments as Ms. Kamirsky. Yeah.
All right. So we have a reason for executive session today.
Yes, we have to discuss the employment history of more than one individual.
Okay. And we need a motion to adjourn our regular meeting. Ms. Kamirsky, a second. Ms. Phillips, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes.